So welcome to a somewhat different series of Unconventional. This time around, we are at GRIMMFEST for an online interview special. GRIMMFEST is an annual horror film festival that takes place in Manchester, showing some of the scariest movies and the horrific short films of that year. Thanks for tuning in. Over to you, Kieran.
Thanks for that, Fran. For my next interview, I'm going to be speaking with the creative team behind the film They Reach, a supernatural thriller told from the perspective of three young teenagers, giving it a bit of a Stephen King It Stranger Things sort of vibe. Let's see how the interview goes and jump straight into it. Okay, so the first question I usually like to ask is, what was the inspiration behind this film?
Silas, you want to grab that? I knew this was coming. I knew this was coming up. Okay. The inspiration was definitely growing up on all the classic films that my mom showed me when I was younger. Started with John Carpenter's Fog, that kind of morphed into Big Trouble in Little China, and the Goonies and Close Encounters from the Third Kind. So there's a lot of films that it kind of was like seared in my brain when I was younger. And I just wanted to. I just love the days of like the kids like going around and like trying to figure out, like in the Goonies, where they're trying to figure out this map and trying to figure out like where the buried treasure is or where the pirate ship is, and just I wanted to make that film, and that was the whole reason why in the film you'll see like they are separated from the adults for the middle section of the movie pretty much, and something that everyone could watch with their family type of deal. Of a kids movie, family, little family friendly, but definitely with some scarier moments, but something that my 10-year-old and 11-year-old can watch.
Obviously, there's a lot of nostalgia for that period going around at the moment. We've had the remake of Stephen King's It, the Stranger Things. Is that the reason why you went for the late 70s setting, because you wanted that kind of nostalgia feeling, or is there just something about that particular period that you think works for horror?
I think the late 70s in particular that is where I kind of like to live in general with like color palettes, because I love I 'cause I grew up like doing comic books and painting and doing like color palettes and going the artistic route. So like then I kind of moved it over to filmmaking. So I find that a lot of the films back then, and the clothes and everything, like this all the way up to like the set dressing, it looks beautiful. The colors are rich. I love everything about that era. And I've done multiple shorts even before like this film and after that are still set in like the early, like the mid to late 70s. Some was a little bit, kind of like breaching the 80s, but um I think that's where I kind of feed into this nostalgia thing, and plus I just remember most of the movies from that time. We When Brian and I were writing this, it was actually before Stranger Things was even out, if you could believe that. It was before the very first season was even out, and when they started doing it, I'm like, well, there's our competition. No, no, they once it was out, it was like we're already going to be kind of lumped in with this category, but it's not a bad category to be lumped into. So, my kids are fans of Stranger Things, and I love Stephen King. So, and that came out when it came out. I thought that was I thought it was awesome. I love the first. I even love the original It, but I love the first part one of it a little bit more. But
Yeah, I think I agree.
yeah,
So this one's more for Brian Mary. What was it about the film, the script, the pitch, whatever it was that first hit you that made you think, yes, I really want to be involved in this?
Well, the reason I first got onto the film was because I had known the executive producer, Jason Connolly. And so he introduced me to Silas. And I think the moment I knew that this was something I wanted to be a part of was when I heard the passion that Silas was talking about this project with. Like, I knew that this was really something I wanted to be a part of because it just was a really good concept, a really good script, and great people to work with. And I really like how Jessica is a strong, smart female lead.
Yeah. And we were lucky to have Mary Madeline on board. I can't think of anybody else who could have done a better job than Mary Madeline in the role of Jessica. So we were so thrilled to work with her. She was awesome. She rocked it all the way through. Yeah, I helped write this. I came on board. Actually, Jason Conley, that guy she just mentioned, pulled me into this as well. I came on board as a script consultant, and Silas had a script. It was actually handwritten. He had a handwritten script, and I read it, and it felt more like kind of a novel prose kind of thing. But I was kind of obsessed with it. I thought, this is amazing. He had enough material for a series, that more than a feature film, and so I just kind of devoured the whole thing and gave him notes, and he asked me if I would help rewrite or turn his notes into a feature film, basically. And so we collaborated and we created They Reach. We created the script for They Reach, and I love these nostalgic scripts that put kids in peril.
At
Hope that doesn't
first,
make me sound like an evil person.
you were like, "Ooh, I don't know if we could do this on such a low budget, Silas. What is this?" And I was like, "No, we got this. We could do it, you know." But that's very true. Bry saw my mishmash of a whole stack of papers because I didn't go to school for this, so I just wrote a massive single space like on Word, you know. And I was like, "What do you think of this?"
But there's a lot to love in that mass of words. So and so we made structure out of chaos, sort of, I guess, and created They Reach. I had a lot of fun writing that script. We're still writing stuff, so
Right.
yeah. So there you go.
That's great. With what you're saying on budget as well, I remember when I was watching it, I think it was the scene where Mary and Morgan are playing with the Lost in Space robot, and I was there thinking, I bet about half of your budget must have gone on just decorating Mary's room with all those nostalgic posters.
No, it's so true. I I like I said so before, I'm like super picky with everything. I come from an art background, and so like down to the color and wardrobe choices, color of the wall. I painted that whole room. Like everything like that you see was like 100% on purpose. Every single furniture in that room, which was one of my favorite sets to build, that I did this massive breakdown of like I drew it all in a comic book form. And I'm like, here, check this out. And then Bri was like, "Oh, this is." I think Bri was a little skeptical on the color, the wall color. Uh, it was pretty dark, and it was an interesting like dark teal. And but James, our director of photography, was like, "That's perfect. Let's go for it, because then I can bounce light and I can shoot light and it won't get caught by the walls and like do weird things and stuff." But the budget for that room was not terrible. There's a lot of thrift store shopping. You know, there's a lot of finding good deals, going on eBay, like, you know, like just finding these parts that like toys and clothes and you know, an old looking axe, and old looking this, you know, old looking, you know, whatever we had to find in that era. It was challenging though. I'm not gonna lie, it was very difficult, but I think I'm really proud of what we did for how little we had to do it. That
Yeah, Silas has quite the astute sense for finding bargains at garage sales and thrift
Yeah,
stores.
and I know where all the thrift stores are in my area.
Yeah, but it was great. And Silas also has kind of this audacious way of decorating things. Silas is a little bizarre. Let me just say that. and in a very fun way. He also we also had a guy help him with a lot of the set decoration, Adam Razand, who did a great job.
Yeah,
as well.
Yeah, we had a great team for what we had. We made the most of it.
Now, Mary, I'm going to assume that you weren't around in the late 70s, early 80s.
No, I was not.
Okay, assumption was correct. Now, a lot of actors like to go at stuff fresh, a lot like to do plenty of research and that kind of thing. Did you have like a list of films that you wanted to go and watch to kind of get you in that frame of mind? Like we've talked a lot about the nostalgia of films like the Goonies and Stephen King and that kind of thing. Did you do any of that kind of research, or did you just say, you know what, no, I want to go at it fresh?
Well, I had already previously seen a bunch of films from the 70s and 80s, I would think, because my parents had introduced me to that kind of era. And for my character, my mom was actually 14 in 1979, which is about the same age Jessica was. So she helped me with kind of that stuff, like how to ride a banana seat bike.
Oh, yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, I did notice there's a lot of scenes of people pushing the bikes and less of them riding them.
That was an experience, learning how to ride a bike like that.
I've honestly never actually ridden one of those bikes. Is it more challenging than a modern bike?
Well, once you get used to it, I first got onto it, and then I'm like, where are the brakes? So I didn't know how to stop the bike. And but it's not challenging once you get used to it. You just backpedal to stop. And then also I have an LA acting coach, Kimberly Crandall, and she helped me through that a lot. We analyzed the entire script, and if there was something I was a little confused on, then we would go and research it. Like, there's a point in the film where the popular kid Wesley says "later cats," and I'm like, who says that? What does that even mean? So I was a little confused about certain things like terminology and all that, and what was cool back then. But I did do my research if I got confused.
Okay, great. We can't really talk about the film without talking about the antagonist within it. And I don't want to go too crazy into spoiler territory or anything, but whenever you deal with these kind of demonic creatures with a religious element to it, there's normally either some kind of lore that they've done the research on, or it's like maybe entirely new. What was it that what went into the creation of the demon here? Was it entirely your own creation, or is this actually a demon that we could accidentally bring to the real world?
It is actually a demon. We conjured him.
Like,
we conjured him. We used a Ouija board. It was sometimes he didn't show up on time.
Yeah, his
He
name's
didn't follow
Fred.
the call show. Yeah.
No, he rents a space. He rents a room upstairs. No. Bri can take this one. Bri actually did some research on this and looked up the terminology of Latin, and I just drew the pictures. I was like, here, check this demon thing out. I was drawing this like stick figure thing. Originally, the concept was supposed to be like a guy made of like branches and twigs, like really, really long and tall, but we just couldn't do it with CGI and anything like that, which would have been like if you take a bunch of twigs, make it super tall, like 10 feet or 8 feet, and dip it in like a thing of like tar, and it just like wandered in the shadows. That's what I wanted to do. But maybe sometime down the future, maybe if we do like number 2 or whatever, but I can't, we couldn't do it. But Bri came up with with a kind of cool backstory, I thought. Take it away, Bri.
We had lots of backstories for this demon. Originally, he's the Sanguine demon, which means blood in Latin. So he's the blood demon. So basically the thought is he has to conquer enough people. He has to suck the souls out of enough people in order to build his power. And then what he does is he can possess the marked one, and then he can walk the earth, because what demon doesn't want to walk the earth, you know?
Right.
You know, he wants to go bowling and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So,
he wants to hang out.
Yeah. So the way to do that is you got to kill some people, you know, and then you take their souls, and then you get stronger, and then you possess Mary Madeline. I mean, Mary Madeline, I would, if I were a demon, I'd say Mary Madeline's a great person. And
Let's possess this person right there.
so, yeah, so that's kind of the background. Yeah, I Googled a lot. I dove into my college Latin textbooks that I still have hanging around, and just looked up. I also thought it'd be good if we had a demon that hadn't been used before. We don't want to conjure up a demon that somebody else has already conjured.
Yeah, I'd be like, oh, that guy. Like, we know this person.
Yeah, so that's what we did. We had
We did have a
other
massive
storyline going on.
We had like a whole, like, in like 1820 or something. Like it like there was like this massive backstory on it, but we just scrapped that. We're like, this would be 2 more flashbacks or something. We're like, this is gonna be really complicated.
And our budget was not big enough for that. So yeah.
Correct.
Other than the design of the creature, which you've already mentioned, Silas, was there anything else that was in your original draft that, for whatever reason, budget, time, restraints, that you wanted in the film but just couldn't manage?
Oh, that's a whole list, Bri.
Yeah, that's another full booklet of stuff that we had to cut out.
Can you think of any major ones, Bri, besides the creature's design? Some of the effects, or there was a scene where in the middle of the night towards the end where the kids were in that car with the priest towards the end, or they're on the dark stretch of road, and the thing was supposed to remember this, Bri? This thing was supposed to bust through the window, the side window, and then grab one and then like yank them out through the window. And like that would need like a whole CG arm thing, and then like it was just a mess. Like,
yeah, we're gonna show how this demon basically would kill people and suck out their souls, and that was gonna be. I mean, we're on very low budget. We're definitely in the ultra low budget range for this movie. Our next movie is gonna be a little bit bigger budget, but this one was definitely a low budget movie.
Ultra low. Yeah.
Got the morning sunlight coming in. Weird, but
a bunch of duct tape and like hopes and dreams were holding this bad boy together.
I mean, I have to say the production value on it looked really good considering it was a low budget one. I kind of wasn't expecting you to say that it was low budget.
No, it's funny because everyone keeps putting it against all these other films, and I'm like, their budget's like 10 times or easily, maybe more than that. It's like we did this for so low. Like, I really appreciate that though, that you saying that. We were pulling all-nighters. We were doing a pretty rough schedule, and we tried to get. It was a lot of everyone putting their heart and soul into this thing to try to get it done.
Yeah, our budget was about the same as Stranger Things budget for bicycle maintenance.
That's super true.
That's probably what our budget was.
It's super true.
Those things you Google and then wish you hadn't.
It's
yeah. All right. So this next one, let's start off with Mary for this one. What was your favorite scene to work on?
My favorite scene to work on is probably, there's a scene where we're at Alex Quinley's house, and he's kind of like the priest that helps Jessica and the gang get on their way and figure things out. And there's an action scene, and I sprint to try to go back in the house, and Alex throws me over his shoulder, and I'm just pounding his back trying to make him let me go, and then he throws me in the car, and I think a couple takes I slam my head, but I'm like, let's keep going, and then I slam on the windows, and I try to get out of the car. But it was just a lot of fun to do that one because there was so much action and I got to kind of go all out.
Future action star here.
Yeah. Yeah, as the producer, that was the day I was like, we have insurance, right? We have the insurance. I would say, how about favorite scene? There's some definitely some memorable scenes, like doing the overnight scenes of the car on the lonely road, and it was like 30 degrees outside, and we had one of our stars, Morgan, who played Sam. He was sick. He got sick that day, and so it was quite an ordeal. Yeah.
I think.
Oh,
Man,
I know
that's a
one.
rough.
I know
that's- You
one.
go, Brad. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think here.
The one time we didn't have a permit to shoot,
Oh, don't show.
we we were shooting on this road that Silas just assured everybody, no one drives on this road. No one drives on this road.
No.
We can shoot on this road. No one will ever know we're here. So we're shooting on this road, and a car drives by, of course. And then so we thought, okay, that's okay. One car, that's not bad. It's the middle of the night. It's about 2 a.m. We have like 20 people there, generators, lights. So it's obvious that we're shooting something. Another car drives by, and then a third car drives by really slow, and then these lights start flashing, and it's a highway patrolman, and he jumps out and he's pointing a gun at us, and he says, let me see your hands. So we all have our hands up, and he says, what are you guys doing? And we said, we're shooting a movie. We're really sorry. We can put everything back and we'll go home. We didn't get a permit. We're evil. We apologize for that. And he said, how dare you? I'm going to have you go home. And I guess there were like drug runners on that road that we didn't know about. Then 2 other people pull up, 2 other heavily armed patrolmen pull up.
Yeah.
They flash their lights.
Military, yeah, they were military vehicles.
These are military. It turns out we didn't realize this. We were right on the edge of a military base. And these guys get in the middle of nowhere. And these guys get out and they have high-powered guns like we have in the United States because
Yeah, right.
ridiculously crazy about guns because we're dorks. But anyway, they have these huge guns and they're coming out there and they're like, what's going on? And the patrolman says they're shooting a film. They're not supposed to be shooting a film. And the 2 guys from the military base are like, oh, what film? And so we get into talking about film and they're like, oh, we love it. That's cool. So they let us go ahead and finish shooting.
Yeah.
It was great.
I told Brad to talk us out of it.
And it worked.
It did. It
I'm
worked.
surprised you didn't throw some small rolls at them.
I know. We gave him a thank you.
We gave him a thank you in the credits, and we gave him our business card.
Amazing.
I don't think I can. There's a lot of them in there. I think I'll just do the simple. The easiest one is like the first day that the kids were on set was when they were in their in the control center in their little hideout in this barn, and that was the first time they were acting with each other. And it's funny because that's like you're quite a ways in the movie before they go to that, to that safe, like that hangout zone that they hang out, the control center. And they did so well, like the chemistry between them in that first scene that they've ever, like, besides rehearsal, but that they ever were on camera was like really awesome to see. And I remember I was like, man, we might be able to pull this off. I was like,
about that. I know Mary Mallon. That was the first time she'd met her co-stars. What was it like?
I was honestly a little nervous just because I knew we were starting out in the middle of the film. And since I hadn't experienced the rest of the things, I mean, of course, I had memorized the script and everything.
And all the rewrites.
And all the rewrites. I was a little nervous, but I was also really ready to do it. Just because I had read the script so long and I felt like I had known Jessica for so long that I was just ready to start bringing her to the film.
Yeah, that was fun. It was cool to see, and it probably would be challenging, like as an actor, like to jump in straight in the middle and then go, okay, what has your character been through all the way up to this point? That's scary. That's like, you better, but you guys killed it. You killed it, Eminem, and the rest of the kiddos. they nailed their characters. It was perfect. It was awesome.
just
And fun.
devoured
One
those
funny
roles.
thing that happened that first day was, since I had never been around a fog machine before, I got sick from the fog machine. And then my mom woke me up the next day. She's like, all right, even though you're sick, we're going to filming. We have to get up and go. So we went to filming the next day.
Yeah,
That
he had
was-
like a reaction to the fog machine or something. I
Yeah.
think we switched up the actual fog liquid
Yeah.
stuff that day.
We changed it, yeah. I just thought it was funny.
All right, so my last real question here is it's again to do with the references in the film. Now, obviously, we've got we've got the robots in there, we've got the Close Encounters posters. There's definite references to the Goonies and that kind of thing. But there's one particular more contemporary reference that I wanted to ask you about.
Uh-oh.
So, which one of you is the Kevin Smith fan?
Like he's I used to do podcasts back in the day, and he was always like, follow your dream, and you just go and do it, just make a movie, like da 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 da, like, and I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna start writing a script and stuff. So I heavily follow his career, and it was always a thing of mine to, like, if I did a movie, I'd like somehow incorporate the, I guess, like, it is maybe a little too far because it's like the full name tag on the guy's tag. And I'm like, will they just get it if I put like like Officer Smith or something, and then Officer Muse? And I'm like, maybe not. I'm just gonna make these tags that are
What
full
if one of them
names.
doesn't talk?
I know I at first we had it in the script where that
I
officer
was like,
didn't say
no,
anything.
we can't do this.
And I was like, maybe that'll work. And Bry's like, that's not gonna work. He has to say something.
We did get.
We should do it as a running theme. All of Smith's films have Jay and Silent Bob in. All of yours should have Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes.
Reference. Yeah, like reference. Yeah, I know. That'd be hilarious. That'd be
We
so
got
funny.
a little thumbs up from Kevin Smith on Twitter, so that was fun.
Really?
That was, yeah, when I first started writing it, when I very first started writing, before I even met, like, I think it was right when I met Bry, I was doing revisions, and I was like, hey, and I would tag him when I was doing revisions on the script, and he like, I was like, thanks for the inspiration or whatever, and then he gave me a thumbs up. I'm like, yeah. So yeah, it was pretty cool.
Is there anything you'd like to say to the audience about the film? Any of you?
Well, this is not your typical horror film because it's a strong female lead, and that's what separates it from the other horror films. Another thing is that it's also much more than just a horror film. It's also a kid adventure and a coming of age movie. And I hope that kids my age watching it will take something away from it. And what I hope they'll take away is that Jessica realizes throughout the film that she doesn't need to change who she is to fit in with others. She has to find her group who accept her for who she is. And so I hope that through watching this, other kids will realize that as well. I know I did.
That was fantastic, Eminem.
And we have stuff in the hopper. Just
yeah,
saying.
we got stuff
Rocket
coming
Rat.
up. Yeah, I don't know. Takeaway, I think that it shows that, like, if you get a really good group of filmmakers that are you're not just filmmakers, but like film family and some people that you can trust and like have your back, and you try to go out and shoot something, you can do it for, like this super low budget that we had, and you just gotta, it's just a lot of uphill climbing, it's just an uphill battle, walking uphill in very deep mud. And it took a long time to get to where it is, and I'm super
And you're
proud
on
of
fire.
Yeah, and you're on fire. No, I'm super proud to where it is right now, and if you just want to do something, and we set out to make a fun family film, and to have, just have fun with it, and we thoroughly enjoy watching it with all our friends and family. It's just like a goofy adventure thing where it has some scares, and I think it's just kind of a fun roller coaster. So really proud of what we've done. So
Great. Anything from you, Bri?
I had a blast making this thing, and I look forward to our future endeavors as well. You know, we're working with an executive producer on another one that's going to have a little bit bigger budget on this one,
right.
and so it's nice to have They Reach as kind of our calling card to say, here's what we can do, give us some money.
Yeah.
And so I look forward to making more of these fun,
Yeah.
adventurous, horror
Right.
comedy type movies.
And just for your next film, if you're looking to make any more, Kevin Smith type references, you want to maybe shift away from Smith and go to something else. It's Donnelly with 2 N's and 2 L's.
I got you.
Well, thank you very much for speaking with me, and I hope you enjoy the rest of GRIMMFEST. And I really hope the film does really, really well.
Thank you, Kieran.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
See ya.
Thumbs
Have a
up.
good one.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Adios.